And they are closing down. See, the British Empire, it still exists today. Canada's a dominion of London, basically, same as Australia. They're using new censorship, government-run censorship techniques on their servers. All servers have to join it. Under the guise, of course, also pedophilia. But there's too many. Well, there's more pedophiliacs up there in government in the British system than there are people who are not. So it's not. So they use it as an excuse. And the first site they attacked was a Christian site that mentioned the word abortion because it's politically incorrect to say.
That's right. They're banning dental office websites, Christian sites in Australia, and to set the precedent, they can ban anything. And literally, it's like all the TSA employees keep getting caught raping kids. Of course, who do you think the globalists hire? They look at your internet traffic. They know you're a pedophile. And so when you go to become a Homeland Security person, you're going right to the top because they already know you're one of them.
That's right. And you're blackmailable, too, should you ever turn against them for some...
Let's take another call. Absolutely. You're compromised.
The term reptilian, which of course has been blown out of proportion deliberately, is actually used in psychology when they talk about a part of the brain where basic survival functions are in all animals and reptiles. It's your survival, that's sex, violence, eating, fighting to survive. That's what they call the reptilian part. Well, it's true the psychopath lives on that part of the brain. They're egocentric, meaning if they want something, they'll do it regardless of rules, regulations, or cultural norms. If they want that little boy or that little girl, they'll have it. And that's psychopathic personality. They don't go by...
And so they build a big government so they can carry out their torture, murder, and rape and war with impunity. More calls straight ahead for Kay, James, Eric, and others. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. The transmission continues. PrisonPlanet.tv. Incredibly massive news has broken. Perfect timing for the next hour when we get into 9/11 Truth. This is incredible. Took me a few breaks to be able to read through it. Revealed Ashcroft tenant Rumsfeld warned 9/11 Commission about line they should not cross. Senior Bush administration officials sternly cautioned the 9/11 Commission against probing too deeply into the terror attacks of September 11, 2001, according to a document recently obtained by the ACLU. Here is the secret document. Now, why is this so important? Several 9/11 commissioners said they were told not to investigate 9/11. All 10 were appointed by Bush. 6 of the 10 have said there's a cover-up. John Farmer, the head lawyer, says a criminal cover-up by the Pentagon. ABC News Nightline did a hit piece last week saying none of that was true, but never showed any facts. Here is the actual document. This is coming up. Man, my hand's actually shaking. It's just these people did this, folks. Dick Cheney wrote they wanted to stage a terror attack in the PNAC documents. I can't believe what killers these people are. We're going to be going over this. Alan Watts with us this segment, the next. I appreciate him giving us so much time. CuttingThroughTheMatrix.com is his site. Great site, great material, great info. Go there, buy books, videos, material, support him. This is so real. And I understand why the average person can't face this horror, because it's scary to know the government's a bunch of murdering criminals. But it's more dangerous not to fight them. And my ancestors fought tyranny. I love liberty. I mean, I am innately a loving person. That means I'm also innately very aggressive and violent towards tyrants. Alan Watt, what would you call the type of person that you are, that I am, who have an instinctual love of humanity versus these psychos?
I think it's summed up in the poem. It says, will mankind go out with a whimper or a bang? That's a different. We have no option. Your very survival and all this decent and good in humanity that's been around for an awful long time is going to be wiped out unless we do something to save it. And it's not going to be easy, and we're dealing with ruthless people, utterly ruthless, who have all the money and think tanks and propaganda arms in the world to obey them, and armies and so on. It's David and Goliath, but as I say, truth's got to win out. We have no option. They plan to annihilate us. They're actually doing it with the food, the injections, the spraying in the skies that are going on every day. All that stuff has been done to us, fluoride in the water. We're dealing with utter psychopathic murderers, mass murderers, who believe they're doing it for their own greater good being.
And we've now hit a jump point. We've now hit a jump point. They're clearly accelerating everything now.
Yes, they have to. to ram everything through, the whole new system. Remember what they kept saying in the last century, that the 21st century is the century of change. That was Obama's speech as well. He's another front man. It wouldn't matter who they put in, to be honest with you, as president. We all know that. They're front men. They don't change the banking system. They don't get right off the debt. They don't do any of those things. They work for the same system. And they have to bring this in. The century of change is where we're being taught that we must reduce our numbers. They're going to force us to reduce our numbers.
Yes, Alan, this is real for folks. This is not a game or a joke. Let's talk to Kay in Ohio. Kay, you're on the air.
Hey, God bless. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Ellen. You've done an outstanding continuity job of outlining the whole deal, and I can't thank you guys enough. Much admiration. Hey, I wanted to talk about the scientific dictatorship hooked up with the military-industrial complex. The problem also goes throughout China. The scientific community, a large portion of them have lost their moral, ethical compass. We established people like the FBI.
They don't even have the Hippocratic Oath anymore, do no harm.
No, but what I'm saying is a large portion of the scientific community, and I say that about the biological, the chemical, and the technical people have lost their moral ethic compass and standards, and we set up a lot of these people to uphold. And
I'm going to get Alan to talk about that. This is such an intense broadcast today. So much is happening. Alan Watt is our guest, and what about his statement about how they've removed morals? Yeah, they say there is no morals beyond good and evil, but then they tell you they're political correct morals that make you stand down and never stand up against them.
That's correct. Is do what thou wilt is the whole of the law at the top. Do whatever you want at the top, because you've got all that protection to safeguard you. You don't end up in court at the top, regardless of what you do. But for us down below, they've also destroyed pretty well all of the culture which binds you together for survival. Survival isn't an individual thing. It is a collective thing to an extent. We all came from tribes that came through hell and harsh winters and often starvation, but we did it as tribes. And that's how you get through things. When you break every bond, and that was what the attack was on, all bonds. Internationalism was to break national bonds and tribal bonds. And then you break the bonds of man and wife until really you have nothing left to bond for.
Alan, how do we as a people even begin to try to defeat these people, because they have control of all the major weapons, of all the military? How do we even begin?
You begin with yourself. You cannot be in their worlds and try to be rational and an individual at the same time. So you conquer yourself. That's the first thing. You must get rid of your own programming. And then you perceive things much more clearly. Then you can put it across to other people of a similar ilk. That's your ability for self-preservation.
Yeah, we're almost out of time. Let me just throw this in. The Pentagon says 90% of war is psychological. You unlock your mind to their public blueprints. They think so little of you, their plan's all public. You look at this and realize this isn't fiction, this is real. And then once you see it, you unlock people's minds, it's over. And we don't need to get everybody, do we, Alan?
No, you don't. Again, too, remember what Mao Zedong said. He said he wasn't afraid of guns or weapons or bombs. He was afraid of someone with a good idea. That's what they're scared of, someone with an idea that can put it across. And it catches on like wildfire.
No army can stand against an idea whose time has come.
Yep. And it's pure self-preservation now. We also have to purify ourselves, because we're all contaminated with indoctrination and the separation of sex from bonding. That was one of the prime tenets too that Bertrand Russell said they'd have to do. That's what you're lapping up as entertainment. You're being corrupted as you do it, and you can't stand together if you have no one to stand with you.
God bless you, caller. I appreciate it. And I wanted to get to everybody else, but we're just out of time. Alan Watt, 1 minute to give us a summation.
Yeah, so we're going into the final part of this battle. As you say, most of it is psychological. The war of terror is a psychological war. And the greatest writers on the Soviet system and all revolutions will tell you, in totalitarian systems, that they don't lose their grip until they become more liberal. That's when the people start to demand things, when the totalitarians become more liberal. These guys are rushing ahead to terrify the hell out of us, and we must not be afraid, no matter of what they throw at us. And when you become indignant about something, that's the start. You all become indignant. We've lost our ability to be indignant. And you
Alan
don't have
Watt,
to be proud.
I'm going to have you back a lot sooner, cuttingthroughthematrix.com. Thank you for all your time. Folks, you have to be afraid for the species. We're all going to die, but the species goes on. You're part of something bigger. You should be afraid of not fighting this. I'm not worried about being destroyed, killed, demonized. I know Alan isn't. Commit. Never stop. We're all in this together. The police, the military, the system. You're with the people whether you like it or not. Join us. Alan Watt, thank you.